Hey folks, Father Sympathy from CGVirus here. Today we're going to see how to create some procedural alpha textures using Blender Texture Node Editor. So these textures are procedural. That means you can mix it, match it, and you can create very much rich details with your alpha texture, and you can use it as your bump map for creating painting cloth details. All right. So the main goal of this tutorial is to introduce the community with the potential of texture node editor in common, which is actually most often overlooked feature in Blender. So the tutorial will be a bit lengthy, so I will timestamp the chapters. First we will see how to use these assets, and later we will see a making of. And as always, all files can be downloaded from the link in the description. So let's get started. You can download the file from here. The link will be in the description. This one, Procedural Alpha, and you can download it here. So I have already downloaded it, so let's get started. Okay, so first let's append something. Press F4, append, and let's go to desktop, and we have our this one. First let's append this brush. We have Cloth Alpha, append. Press F4, append, and let's append all the textures we have. Press A to select all, and append. Okay, you will find all the textures here. Okay, these are our textures. So now let's prepare some stuff first. So let's create an image texture here, and let's create a new. I'm going for a bump, and let's create it a 4K. Okay, and let's go to bump map. Let's connect this height. Let's connect this normal. Okay, and now if we go to press N, and let's go to texture paint. Okay, let's go to 2, and you will see everything is selected. This is the bump map, and you will find these cloth alpha we have created. So if you want to duplicate these cloth alpha, what you need to do is basically change the blend to screen, radius 50, everything is fine, strength and everything is fine. Let's go to here, texture, and this will be our view plane. Check rect, and other things are fine here. Stroke, space, and it will be 30% of stroke. So the same things, and stabilize stroke. Okay, factor is something like 0.69. So the same thing is happening here as well. So okay, you will get the preset here. These are all same here. Okay, so yeah, that's how you can create it. So you can create the text draw from here, or you can just choose this cloth alpha here. So now if I just select one, let's suppose crease, press Z to toggle overlay, and you can see you can create a okay. So the distance should be 0.01. Sorry. So this is the crease. Here is crease. We can use this called double fold. So it's the double fold. Okay. You have double fold wrinkle. It will create a wrinkle here. And there are side double folds. Okay. There is stitch. You can create some stitch here. There you go. You can create some wrinkle. There you go, wrinkle. And there is another one that is called crease wrinkle. So it will create a crease with a wrinkle. Okay. And there is double fold stitch. This is a double fold stitch. There is double fold stitch wrinkle. Okay. This one is double stitch. This one is double fold stitch. Lots of options, but actually it has come from very basic. So here it is. This is the double fold stitch wrinkle. Okay. This one is side fold stitch wrinkle. Okay. And this is wrinkle and stitch. Okay. There we go. So these are quite some demo. So let's go to spacing and let's increase this spacing a little bit, so you will see some difference here. Okay, So where all of these assets are using spacing of 30. There we go. You can disclose, close the space a little bit, so something like 20. It will create something like this. You can also change the angle here. Suppose something like this, it will change the angle for you. Yeah, something like this can be done. Alright, so this is a demo. So let's get detail and let's see. Alright, so how to combine two brushes. Something like, suppose we have a crease here. Okay, so here is our crease. Suppose something like this. So I want to create some wrinkle with it. So let's create some wrinkle. Let's give it something like that. Okay, although we have a crease wrinkle. Okay, so if you go to the crease wrinkle, yeah, it will give you something like this. Okay, anyway, so let's go for stitch here, and we can give it some kind of stitch here. Okay, so that's how you can create lots of detail pretty easily. Yep, something like that. Another thing is, what you can see that this one is basically an alpha, right? So what we can do here, we can actually create something else. So suppose we have a stitch. Suppose I'm just going to mix it with a color, and suppose this garment is red, okay, and our stitch is white. What can we do? Okay, let's go here, Shift A. I'm going to create an image texture here, and I'm going to name it something like stitch bump. So it will be a separate file, and in the color we're going to by default the alpha will be 1. I'm just going to, actually we don't need that. So, okay, anyway, so here it is, because this bump is already an alpha, so we don't need those things. So anyway, so now what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to create a mix RGB node, and I'm just going to give this a color 1 and this give a color 2. Okay, so it will be something like that, and I'm going to use these as factor. Okay, now what we can do is basically, let's go to the texture paint, and you can see that we have stitch bump and bump, right? So this is the stitch bump, and now let's go for a stitch, and suppose we have this stitch here. Okay, so if we connect it with the height map now, you will see things are going here. So what we can do is basically, this has alpha, right? So we can just factor it up here. Let's reverse it, so it will be red and it will be white. Let's do it like that. So that's how you can create your alpha as well. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can see our masking tutorial we did earlier for procedural texturing, and you will understand that. So this is alpha, and we are just mixing it up a little bit. So that's how you can work with it pretty easily. Just one thing you need to remember, that this bump map is actually an alpha. It is not nothing else, it's an alpha. It has alpha because it's a white and black image, so it's an alpha, it's a mask, so you can use this mask. Yeah, all right, so that's it. So how to change this and modify this stuff. Okay, so let's go to the compositing here. So you can see that it is called the texture node editor, and I'm going for a brush, and this is actually your texture nodes for everything we have done here. Okay, all right, to view it, let's go here and go for the image editor here, and this is a compositor node which is coming from this compositor. Use nodes, and let's delete everything here. Go for texture, and Ctrl Shift to create a viewer, disable backdrop, and here is your viewer node. Okay, so which texture do you want to see? Let's go for basic. So you can see that there is an alphabet called B and C. So B are basics, these are basic elements, and C are compound elements, which is combining these basic elements and creating some complex elements here. So we will see a making of, then we will understand it. So for now, let's create a crease. Let's go for crease. Here is our crease. To see a square shape, what we need to do is basically, let's go for 1920 and 1920, and it will create a square shape for us. So the square texture, there we go. And B crease, right? So let's go to B crease. Here we go. So this is the B crease. You can see very simple, very simple. So suppose I want to check it. How can we check it? So this is a 3D view. Let's go to texture paint here, and let's go for view node. So you can see, yeah, so there are some property changes, I think. Let me see. Texture, yeah, angle 0. Okay, so let's see it. So this is the crease. All right, so if you want to increase the crease a little bit, you can go for something like this, and you can shape it a little bit here. It will change the thing for you. Okay, let's see another one. Let's undo these changes here. Yeah, let's see another one. Let's see a stitch. This will be pretty much simple. So let's go for a stitch, B stitch. There we go. So this is the property. So suppose I want to let's go here. Suppose I want to thick it up a little bit. So what we can do is basically we can scale it up like this, press shift, and yeah, something like this. We can increase the thing here. So let's scale it down a little bit. There we go. There we go. So it is now thick. There you go. It's a thick stitch here. So if you want to suppose I want to go here, so it will change the factor here. Okay, so that's how you can change your stuff. So I have not created any group here because we will need it. We need to change and modify our stuff later, so it is much more better to use it like that. So here we go. Yeah, you can change all of your stuff. So if you want to check it with a layout, you can go here. You can check it how it is going. So let's clean up it a little bit. So let's go to the test draw, and let's go to fill, and I'm going for a black. Let's see, mix, and I'm going to erase everything here. Now let's go to fill and image paint, draw, both alpha. There we go. Okay, so now we can see our stuff here, right? So that's how you can use it. Yeah. Okay, what else? Let's see another one. Let's see a complex one. So suppose this is the crease wrinkle. Okay, so how does it look? Let's change it to crease wrinkle. There we go. So this one is a complex one. So what we are doing here is basically we are adding wrinkle with crease. Okay, so you can go here and you can see what is going on. So if you want to change it a little bit, you can do it like this. Let's create some more depth here. Suppose crunching the white here a little bit. There we go. And let's see, you can see a completely different effect here. So there we go, something like that. Also we can scale it up a little bit. I don't know, something like this. Yeah, it will work. You can change your stuff like this as well. There are far more complexity you can do. Suppose if you have changed it to screen, yeah, it will create a very different look. Okay, very different look. So if I go to the layout, we can see very different look here. Okay, so you can compensate what you want to do with it. So this is the scaling. We can also rotate it a little bit to create some kind of effect here. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, something like that. I think this will look really good. There we go. Okay, so let's go to, what was that, mix or multiply. Yeah, there you go. So that's how you can change it. So this is for basic users who doesn't want to change anything. You can use it as it is, and after doing the making of, you will understand everything. So if you are interested to see the making of, then welcome. Otherwise the tutorial is finished. So let's get started with the making of. Alright devs, so let's get started. Everything starts with basic and basic. So let's go for 1920 by 1920, or let's go for 1024 here. Okay, and let's create a new texture. We are in texture node editor, and let's create a new texture. Use nodes, and I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to name it B stitch. So this one is basic. So we are going to create the basic elements first. So this one is stitch. So let's get started, and let's select it as a stitch in the compositor view. Okay, so first thing first is basically we're going for a blend. So what it does, pretty simple, it creates a blend. Okay, so we're going to create a spherical blend. So if you're familiar with GLSL, texture node editor is basically a GLSL node editor. So yeah, and for this blend, what we're going to do is basically we're going to create a ramp, color ramp node, and this color ramp, let's go for 0.6, and here is our sphere. Now we're going for a scale, and this scale node will be used x3 0.6. It will create this kind of shape. Alright, Z doesn't matter because it's a two-dimensional system. Alright, so this is actually it. So if I go to texture node editor, texture paint, and let's go to view node. There we go. And if everything is alright, yeah, let's see what is happening here, why everything is happening, and why. Okay, so you can see that we are in blend mix. So and we need to create the texture here. So let's create this B texture, and you can see nothing is happening because we are in tiled. So let's go to view blend, and we're not using rec now. I just want to show you what is happening here. So it's something like this is happening. All right, so with rec we can create an angular thing here. Yeah, something like that. And now let's go to fall off, and for fall off we're going to use smooth. Okay, and other things are pretty much fine. So now you can see we can barely see anything, right? So what is happening? So first thing first is basically we are going to do a color ramp again, color ramp, and now we're going to crunch it a little bit here. we are in mix, right? So let's go for screen. Now you will see your thing here. Okay, so now let's go to stroke space, and I'm going for a 30% of stroke. So before creating any asset, you should settle down this space thing. Okay, so we're using 30. If you want to use anything else, you can use it like that. All right, so now what you're seeing is basically a black and white image, right? So we don't need that. What we need is basically an alpha. So what I'm going to do is basically select this and going to turn off alpha here. So now we're having pure alpha. Okay, now you can see the changes. Okay, that's how we created it. So the rec, without rec, it will give you something like this. All right, with rec you will get the directionality. All right, so this was the basic. Okay, so now what you can do is basically you can increase it, decrease it as you wish, and you can set it up. So my standard one was 0.468. So here it is. Okay, if you want to see it more clearly, you can go here, go to the texture paint, and you can see it more clearly here, what is happening here and everything. So if you want to if you want to increase the size a little bit, you can do it with Y. Yeah, you can increase it, decrease it, whatever you want to do, up to you, completely up to you. You can do it like that, or you can just go for 0.6 and use this one instead to increase the size a little bit. Okay, so for now 0.6. Also you can if you want to fat it up a little bit, what you can do is basically you can shrink it, or create a fat link here as well. So that's how we actually created our siege map here. So first thing first is done. So now let's see another one. Before wrapping it up, let's see another thing, that if you go to the tool, you will see that there is a spacing thing which is stroke. So if you go to the 20%, you will see it will give you a closer variation, right? But you can use it with angle. Okay, if you go to the texture, you can create some angular setup here as well. So it will create something like this. Okay, completely different. So yeah, there we go. And if you want to angle it procedurally, what you can do is basically you can create a rotate node here. I have not given it because we don't need it, but you can do it. You can rotate it a little bit, something like this, and it will do the same. Okay, but rather than using rotate, I think angle is much more better option here. Okay, in the texture, angle. All right, so that was it. So now let's get started with another one that is called crease. All right, so for crease, let's delete this one. Let's go here, use nodes, and I'm going for B crease. B is basic. Okay, so let's go here and let's create another blend node. There we go, and let's select these as crease. Create a fake user. Okay, so in crease, what we need is basically we will go for linear horizontal. So let's connect it here, and we're basically going to create a curve profile. Sorry, not time. Curve, RGB curves. Okay, and we're going to shape it a little bit. So let's go to this 0.5 here, and I'm going to turn it here, and this one will be here. So it will be a symmetrical curve here. Okay, symmetrical curve. Now what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to check one here. So what we are doing is basically creating a profile, okay, bevel profile. So here is something, you know, and then let's create one here, very close, somewhere here, and let's create one here. There we go. Okay, so it will create a thin line here. So now again we're going for a ramp node, color ramp, and I'm just going to give white as alpha. There you go. Okay, so now let's test it. Yeah, it will give you this. So let's go to the layout and let's see. Okay, there you go. So if you want to modify it a little bit, you can do it. Suppose I want to modify the curve a little bit. What we can do is basically, let's give it something like this, flattened, something like this, flattened. So it will give you a completely different approach here, you know. Yeah, there we go. You see. Alright, so what we are doing is basically creating a curve profile here. Okay, nothing else. And also you can change it drastically using ramp. If you want to, if you want a thick one, you can use it like this. You know, it will give you a thick line of shape here. Okay, so thick line of shape, something like that. Use it with your advantage. All right, and this will give you another thing here. Yeah, something like that. Get it? There we go. All right, so crease is done. So now let's think about another one. Let's create some wrinkle. So before everything else, let's go to fill. Let's change it to mix, and let's fill it to erase all the texture we have here. Okay, so now let's go to draw, and let's go to screen again. All right, and change it to white. All right, so let's create an wrinkle, right? So B wrinkle. There we go. Use nodes. Let's delete this one, and let's see what we have. Okay, for first of all, what we are going to do is basically going for a Voronoi, and let's connect it to color, and I'm just going to display it here. Wrinkle. Let's create a fake user. Okay. For Voronoi, what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to create a scale node here, and I'm going to give it minus 0.15. It will stretch it, and then I'm going for a 0.8. It will give it like something like that, and I'm going to also create a rotate, and I'm going to turn it to 0.94 for some angularity. Yeah. All right, and we will also give it a scale. It's an optional, but yeah. All right, so the property here should be minus 1.4. I'm just using my instinct and testing, so you can use your own, no problem. You can create lots of variants. Okay, so 0.3, and this is 0.4. I scale, I'm using 1.31, and size I'm using 0.13. Okay, so let's use wrinkle, and let's see what it does. Okay, let's use some stabilizer here. stabilize the stroke, and I'm going for little stroke. There we go. Okay, so it's a wrinkle. That's good. We are also using distance squared, which will give you much more good results. There you go. But it's up to you. Actually, it's completely up to you. If you want to use Chef, you can use it. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. There you go. Okay. So, yep. You can quite obviously change the scaling factor. There you go. You can change all kind of detail here. Okay. Whatever is needed. Yep. Just test it. Test it with a test, and things will go on. Yeah. Something like that. But I'm just going for my one. So minus 1.4, minus 0.7, 0.3, 0.4. Sorry. 1.3, 0.13. I think that was minus 0.3 and minus 0.4. Yeah, something like that. So, all right. And about scaling, you can scale it up, scale it down like this. Oh, also we have something else. We are using a ramp node here, a simple ramp to create the threshold, deep threshold. And also we are using another ramp, which is our obvious one, which has a wide value of alpha. Okay, so it will create the alpha value for it. There we go. Okay, that's it. All right, done. So it is called wrinkle. So next we are going for double folds, and yeah, so let's see. I think it will be pretty huge if we cover everything here. So this is a B double fold. Okay, B double fold, simple blend. Then we are using a curve profile, color ramp, and we're going to invert it here, and the result will be like something like this, and everything is like that. So if you want to change the profile, quite obviously you can do it from there. Actually, this one is pretty much dark, so you can do it like this. Okay, no problem. Okay, and there is a side fold, which is basically something like this. So if I go to the side fold, B side fold, here we go. The thing is just, you know, some curve changes, and it will create, it will give you some sharp angle here in the side. Okay, usually for jeans you will have this kind of things, jeans and edges, you know, the cloth edge. Okay, it will give you something like that. Okay, so yeah, and what else? B double folds, wrinkle. It should not be B, it should be C. So we will see it: side double fold, stitch, wrinkle. So these are the basic one. Okay, so now let's go for a complex one, and let's see. Alright, so let's see a double stitch. So I'm just going to create a new one. I'm going to name it double stitch here, and let's use note, and let's see it here as well, double stitch. Okay, so what I'm going to do is basically I'm just going for a stitch here, and I'm going to copy all of this note here from basic to double stitch. Double stitch, here we go, and let's paste it, Ctrl V, press G here, and here just connect it to the color socket. There we go. And what I'm going to do here is basically I'm going to create a translate node here. Translate, and press Ctrl Shift D to create another translate, and I'm going to create a mix RGB here. Let's connect it here, and connect it here, and create an add. Okay, so for this one I'm going for 0.2 millimeter, and for this one I'm going for minus 0.2 millimeter. Okay, and I think factor should be 1. Okay, so this is our double stitch. So if I go to texture paint now, and let's go to view node, and we're already in double stitch, so it will create double stitch. Okay, so that's how you can mix and match basic stuff here. So let's see another one. Let's see another example, and let's see how to create crease wrinkle. Okay, so let's create this one, and I'm going to name it crease wrinkle, and it will come from a crease, crease wrinkle. There we go. It will come from crease. So let's sort it out. Crease. There we go. And let's copy this, guys. Ctrl C, and let's go for crease wrinkle. There you go. And let's paste it here. Ctrl V, G. There we go. And another one is wrinkle, right? So let's go for wrinkle, and I'm just going to copy these guys. Ctrl C, and let's go for crease wrinkle here, and I'm going to paste it here. So these are crease wrinkles and these are wrinkles, right? So what I can do now is basically we will need it later. So this is the alpha. So what we can do is basically we can create a mix node, mix RGB, and we can just give this crease top one, and this is the wrinkle bottom one, and let's connect it to alpha, and let's see it in color. Okay, so that is it. So if I go for a multiply now, and let's factor it 1, you can see we will have crease wrinkle. Yeah. Okay, you can adjust it as you want. Suppose if you go for darken, it will give it something else. So if we go for lighten, it will give you something else. Overlay, it will give you something else. So that's how you can combine two elements into one. Alright, pretty simple. So basically this is it. This is how we have created everything here. So yeah, you can see those setups here. It is quite obviously it will become a huge tutorial if we cover everything here. So yeah, just see it, and that will be it. So that's it. I'm Father Samputik from CG Virus, and we're going to see you next time. Bye bye.